Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. We have a unanimous draw. What are the odds of that? Well, 113 on all three cards. This was a WBA bantamweight title fight between the champion Antonio Vargas and the challenger from Japan, Daigo Higa. And I thought Vargas won this. I thought he won at least 7 of the rounds, but I've seen worse decisions. This was in Japan. They're resolutely fair with their judging in Japan. I mean, you very rarely get, really poor judging. Things can be debated, and in some people's eyes, of course, anything that's debatable is a robbery. But a unanimous draw, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. Rather unfortunate for Daigo Higa of Japan, because in his previous fight, and what are the odds of this, when he fought Seiya Satsume, he had another unanimous draw. So 6 judges in his last 2 fights have considered him to have drawn with an opponent. The odds of that are very, very slight, very slight. And prior to that, he fought Yoshiki Takai and lost a unanimous decision. And that was a close fight as well. I remember seeing that one. That was for the WBO bantamweight title. So he just can't quite get over the line, poor old Daigo Higa. But he's a good fighter. I definitely thought Vargas beat him, because Vargas had the cleaner work, was busier. Vargas now has 11 with this victory. With this draw, he now has 11 knockouts in 19 wins, 1 defeat, and 1 draw. His only defeat was 6 years ago, where he got bombed out in a round. But I can't remember the name of the fighter. He just got caught cold and knocked out, and that can happen. Since then, he's done all right. He's done very, very well. And he's got that belt, and to go all the way to Japan and defend it. Yeah, I thought he won this fight. I really did. However, they did exchange knockdowns. In the 4th round, Vargas, who was controlling the range, looking slicker, looking the more polished of the 2 fighters, he came with a high guard. But, as you let your hands go, of course, you're going to leave yourself somewhat vulnerable if you're up close. And Higa timed him with a brilliant left hook and put him over. And it wasn't a flash knockdown. It was a legitimate wallop. But he repaid the compliment in the final round being by far the best round of the fight, where Higa probably felt, I've got to win this round. And he was very, very cavalier coming forward, even though he was tired, I'd say exhausted. And he leant over the front foot, rushed forward, leant over the front foot, and was met with a big hook by Vargas, who put him over. Now, there are a lot of people, commentators included, thought he might have just slipped and fallen over and, through exhaustion. In fact, it was a legitimate knockdown. And to be honest with you, it's rather tragic for Daigo Higa, because had he, let's say he lost that round 10-9 instead of 10-8, he'd have won a unanimous decision on all 3 cards, just 1 point ahead. But instead, because of the 10-8 knockdown, he got a draw. So the margin of difference is so slight, between victory, defeat, or drawing. So Vargas went home with his belt. But I think overall, I do think Vargas won the fight. It's not a rip-off. It's not a robbery or anything like that. But, a draw it wasn't a gift draw. But I do think Vargas won at least 7 of the rounds. Like I say, his work was slicker, tighter, more varied. Higa was loading up, looking for big punches. Not surprising, because of his 21 wins, 19 are by KO. He's got 3 defeats now and 3 draws. So he's kind of out of luck. He's 29 years old, orthodox fighter from Japan, Higa. So he's as good as he's going to get. He's probably in his prime now. Vargas is 28, and again, in his prime. So these were well matched in terms of, the chronology, their ages and so on. And to be honest with you, Higa, he's drawn 2 and lost 1 in his last 3. He can come again, no problem. For Vargas, he might be invited back to Japan either for a rematch with Higa, or, I don't know, there are a few other, well, more than a few actually, Japanese fighters in that super flyweight, bantamweight, super bantam range. And if Vargas has got that great bargaining chip of the WBA title, so he'll probably get invited back. But he's a tough kid to beat. Yeah. Okay, you hit him cleanly and he'll go on the floor. He's got that 1-round knockout early on in his career. First round defeat. But you know, he was a kid then. What was he, like 20, 21, 22 at the time? And like I say, these things can happen. He responded well to the knockdown in the fourth round of this fight. He got up and went back to his boxing, and Higa, of course, was on the rampage once he smelled blood. But I do think that that Vargas can get some good paydays. And it was weird because this contest bore a striking resemblance to Ricardo Sandoval's victory over Kenshiro Teraji, because Sandoval was boxing well and then Teraji put him on the floor in, I think, the fifth round. That was for the WBC flyweight title, and that was the main event. This was the chief support. Both these fights had a very similar matchups in terms of style. One guy, very, bit more polished, bit more textbook. The other guy, heavier hands anyway. In the case of Higa, very heavy-handed, looking for the knockout. And in the Sandoval beat Teraji on a split decision, and Vargas escaped with a draw with his belt. So very strange that these two fights should be on the same card, one after the other, and have such a similar look about them. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, Antonio Vargas, good little fighter. He can earn some big money, and he will probably go back to Japan, I would imagine. This was a Taiken Promotions card. It was Taiken, by the way, are the leading Japanese promotional outfit, and they put on some fantastic cards. If you've watched this channel before, you'll know I'm always ranting and raving about the Japanese cards. And Taiken put on most of them, I think. Well, I'm not absolutely certain. I mean, there probably are other promotional companies, but they are by far and away the most well-known. And, I strongly advise anyone to follow Japanese boxing. They've got some great fighters. This is a golden age for Japanese boxing. And if you like your lighter guys who are often exciting, throwing lots and lots of punches, Japan is the place to be at the moment. There are other Asian countries that have produced great fighters too, Thailand, for example. But yeah, Japan at the moment, really good fighters, really good lower weight fighters, and a lot of them. So this card was shown on DAZN. So if you've got DAZN, go and have a look at it. Of course, it's Wednesday, July the 30th. The only bad thing about Japanese cards is that they show them, during the week, midweek usually, Tuesday, Wednesday. And of course, some of us have to go to work. Work always gets in the way of the real world, as we know. But go and have a look if you can, because this fight was good fight, great ending too, and it's a good card. And if you did watch it, or you're going to watch it, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button because they count them, and also give the little subscription button a good left hook and all, because you're a generous person. It costs nothing and it helps the channel out. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading what you've got to say. Bye for now.